So the overall principle then is no stunning before bleeding, before cutting,
Right.
right? And the point of the very sharp knives is that the sharper, the better, at least from the point of view of the animal, maybe also from the point of view of the slaughterman, carpal tunnel, and so forth. So what do you hypothesize? I know it's hard for us to know for sure, but what do you hypothesize to be the experience of the animal in a religious slaughter context as opposed to the stunned animal?
Okay.
That I take it is one of the worries. Oh, these animals are feeling themselves being
Well,
cut.
yes, and if the animal is brought in calmly, and that's good management practices. Temple Grandin's behavioral observations is that the animal does not flinch, does not react to the very sharp knife. So the presumption I'm making is that if you have this razor sharp knife that is nick free, you do it in the proper place, in the proper way, that the animal does not in fact feel the cut, and the behavior of the animal suggests the same.
So they're secure in one of Temple Grandin's kind of
In some
thing,
kind of a restraining device.
restraint, and they just kind of are there and almost don't seem to notice that they've been cut.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they're calmly expiring.
Okay.
And that's the goal,
Yeah.
is that they calmly expire and become unconscious. Now, cattle go a little slower because they have blood vessels in the back of their head that we're not cutting. But once you've cut the big cut, you have a tremendous drop in pressure, so in fact you are becoming unconscious in a good case from 17 to 30 seconds. And that's kind of what we're using as our goal. Now, every once in a while, you do have a problem, and the animal doesn't expire in that time. And those animals need to be stunned. And that makes them not kosher and probably not halal, but you need to do that for animal welfare. But again, it is the quality of the death that's important, not this fixation with time to death.
Do you have any guesses about, so we're hoping or thinking that they don't feel the cut. What about the 17 to 30 seconds of bleeding out?
Again, if they're expiring calmly,
Yeah.
one has to assume they're not reacting negatively. If they're thrashing, in some cases, I would argue that if the animal is so perturbed
Yeah.
that, again, rather than wait for it to become unconscious, one should stun it. And so any kosher or halal plant, there ought to be a backup stunner. Some do have it, some don't. But again, you want a calm animal going in, and there's a really interesting hypothesis, and again, it's a hypothesis, that when you have this kind of cut that is really, really sharp, you actually get endorphin release. And where most of us know the term is in runner's high, where the endorphins are a positive opiate. And there is evidence when people have, and it's anecdotal, it's not scientific, that when they've slashed their wrist with a razor blade, which is one way some people choose to try to commit suicide, if they are rescued in time, when they recount their experience, it is often very positive. So they
I
don't
didn't feel the cut, and then I had this euphoric feeling.
feeling as I was expiring. And so there is certainly grounds for assuming that a well-done religious slaughter, in fact, might be argued to be better than the secular slaughter in allowing for that endorphin high and for an animal to expire in a very calm and euphoric state.
So you kind of fade out in a
Fade.
euphoria.